Hi, I'm Jane Hilsden, marketing consultant and founder of Dragonfly Marketing. Welcome to this episode of the How to Do Marketing Show, a no-nonsense podcast about marketing for small business. It's our mission at Dragonfly Marketing to put marketing on the agenda for every small business in Australia. Why? Because we know that when marketing is done properly, it can help your business grow. The How to Do Marketing Show is a podcast just for you and your small business, bursting with marketing insight and information. This show will be a fabulous resource to help you know all there is to know about the topic of marketing for small business. Now, if there is an industry that has felt the swift jab to the jaw of the COVID pandemic, it is that of the events industry. 1 minute they are a thing, the next minute events as we once knew them have been obliterated. And I'm a huge fan of events. I love attending them, I love organising them, and most of all, I love how they can bring together businesses and their customers to experience a really rich and engaging interaction. Events will feature in most of my marketing plans for clients, whether they be information seminars or open days, industry conferences, networking sessions, or annual VIP days where a business takes a bunch of their best clients for an afternoon at the local races. Events can be a really powerful way to create engagement and build and cement relationships. But due to social distance and travel restriction, the events we once knew and loved have transitioned from offline and in person to online. This creates tremendous opportunity because, of course, it opens up the attendance of events to people based anywhere in the world. But it also presents a few challenges, like how do you create the same level of energy and engagement with an online event? So in this episode, we dive deeply into Eyob Jesus' brain bank to find out how we leverage events now and in the future. Eyob has a career spanning more than 15 years in the events industry. He and his team at Icon Corporate Events provide corporate event management services for businesses that want to deliver powerful, meaningful, and engaging experiences to connect with people. He understands the power of using human engagement, creativity, and exceptional organisation skills to bring a brand to life using events. So in this episode, Eyob shares what events look like right now and how they will likely progress into the future. He shares how we can ensure that we are still leveraging events to achieve our marketing goals, even if we are executing these events online. So let's dive in. Hi, Eyob, and welcome to the How to Do Marketing Show.
Hi, Jane. How are you?
I'm really well, thanks, and excited about tackling one of my favourite topics, which is events. I love events, so I'm so happy to have you here and chatting about these. So you have an events business, Eyob. It's called
Yes.
Icon Events, and we're in 2020 recording this. And so in March of this year, COVID hit.
Yeah.
And it pretty much turned your industry upside down. Can you tell us about the journey of transformation that your business and your industry has been on this year?
Yeah, so as you can appreciate, COVID has hit the events industry quite hard. No face-to-face live events, no events whatsoever. As you can appreciate, some of the restrictions that came in by the federal government really played a huge key role, and it flipped our whole industry upside down. And some of the things that we immediately had to look at is how are we going to transition from live to events to either virtual or hybrid events. Now, the best part is the events industry actually has been working on these two formats for a while, but we never really utilized it to its full extent. We always wanted it to be as a sub-branch of a live event or an additional engagement tool for the live events. But COVID basically brought that to the forefront. However, it doesn't take away from the panic that just came from clients, so everyone literally postponed all their events. The event industry went from a couple of $billion industry to literally zero in a couple of months. So, and not to mention the events industry ties in with the tourism industry, ties in with the hospitality industry. So our suppliers, I think, were probably even more hit harder for this. But yeah, it's been a tough ride. I had to take some time off for about 2 weeks to really clear my mind and see which direction I wanted to go to, and I've stuck by it. I still want to do events. I think that hybrid and virtual is still exciting. It's just a matter of changing mind frames and seeing where that goes.
Yeah. So talk me through that 2 weeks, Eyob. What was going through your head? Because, yeah, as you said, the events industry had the virtual delivery of events on its radar. It was definitely something that was going to come. But as you said, it was always going to be an extension of or a complement of. And we already saw that starting to happen. Like, I know I attend this one in the States called Social Media Marketing World. And, you know, you can obviously turn up for the delivery of that event, but then, you know, and the US are probably a bit further on than we are in Australia with this. But you can turn up to that event in person, and then you still get aspects of that delivered digitally, you know, post-event after the event's finished. Or you could buy a lesser price ticket, and you could just go virtually. So you could actually just be you know, just receive the live streams and then the rest of the recordings and those sorts of things. So it's kind of already happening, but COVID hit, and look, it hit us all, you know, with a big punch to the face, and no one saw it coming, and everyone had to act really quickly. So that 2 weeks, what were you thinking? What was going through your head?
Well, the first thing was definitely a lot of research. So I delved back into trying to find out more about all the different platforms that are out there for both hybrid and virtual events. We knew that Zoom was a catalyst. One form of a virtual event. However, utilizing a platform, especially a technology platform that offers you a good-looking look and feel of an event. How do I go from one exhibitor to the other so that I can feel like it's an event? You know, so just really understanding the engagement points of what a technology platform for a virtual event can offer is a completely different story, because there's so much that needs to go into it. And some of the platforms, some of the providers out there are doing custom work. So which means you'd have to think about the event journey from the beginning, you know, offer it to a designer and put it all together in this one platform that will hopefully deliver that kind of engagement that you have face to face. But it is slightly tough. However, at the same time, the scope of what virtual events could offer in terms of, you know, your attendance now is worldwide rather than than just local. The return on understanding the metrics straight away, you know, through the Q&A, through the polling, all those options show you, all those tools show you how to measure events effectively, and so quick as well. So for me, first off, it was research. So really trying to find out as much as I can. And then second off, it was around, okay, what are my clients thinking, you know? What will they be thinking? Can I get them on board? How will I make this engaging? And luckily, one of my clients decided to continue, I must say. I will say luckily, because they were super hesitant to come on board as a virtual client. But I'm so glad that they got on board, because now they're leading the way on that particular industry. Does that make sense? So, and it's a new product.
Yeah.
Think about it as a new product entering a new market,
Yeah.
and you're pretty much trying to teach everyone the ropes of understanding what a virtual event and a hybrid event can deliver.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, that's right. And I guess 6 months with a bit of hindsight, we can look back and go, oh, a lot of this, it makes sense, and it seems like it's actually
that's right.
presenting us with more opportunity and those sorts of things. So it's actually a good thing. But I bet you in that 2 weeks you were like, what on earth am I going to do? How are we, what is everybody in that event space going to do? How are we going to get around that? So now we've kind of embraced this new way, and I, my observation has been that I think we've all embraced everything virtually, really, really quickly, and thanks to platforms like Zoom, which has not faltered in terms of enabling people to continue to turn up to their monthly committee meetings, to continue to turn up to networking events, to continue to do business. Let alone the events that they've been able to enable. And I know that there's platforms that offer way more than just the simple webinar or simple networking platform. And for me, I'm based in a regional town in New South Wales. So for me, it's only just opened up the opportunities for myself. So I think this has definitely presented with me with more opportunity than it has with challenge. But what are some of the opportunities that you see that are available for small businesses now that, particularly with the events, now that they're virtual? And what are some of the challenges that we might face with this new style of event?
Yeah, well, like you said, the opportunities are really reaching out to a new market and expanding your network to different parts of the world, to different cities around the nation. Having a virtual platform, your reach is pretty much sky's the limit, really, around that, if you let it be. There's been some fantastic stories of some growth within small businesses that have taken the opportunity of this and made the most out of their time. But more other opportunities is, getting strong content from different parts of the world. So for example, our speaker reach has been amazing. So we've been going to the US, to the UK, getting all these amazing speakers to speak at the events. And that's been a great opportunity for learning for member-based organizations that we manage their events for. So we've got a small business chamber that we work with closely, and it's been amazing for them. We also have in terms of reporting and effectiveness of the event, that's been huge because it's immediate reporting that you receive from Zoom, and that part of it shows you the return on investment straight away with virtual. The challenges are obviously that you're going to be competing a lot with all the online world. So, I mean, you're pretty much nowadays need to think about competing with the likes of YouTube and all the other channels because online is so accessible. And you do need to consider, how am I going to make this event engaging, one, and then two, the content is your king around this. So you really have to have strong, sharp, to the point content. You can't no more 1 hour presentations, it has to be 30-minute presentations, so that you can make sure that you deliver great content, and more importantly, get your message across so that you can get either new clients for a small business or create partnerships so that you can expand your business. Another challenge is definitely the level of engagement, so how do we engage people online. It's totally different to live events, as you can appreciate. You have to utilize technology and some of the tools. Anything. Last week I read a business quiz for one of my small business associations that I'm running, and it was so much fun because people were engaged, but it was something different. You would not think about running that at a live event because obviously people are just networking face to face. So the level of engagement, that's from a simple perspective, is super important, and that's one of the challenges, other challenge that you need to look out for.
Yeah. So do you think we have a shorter attention span for content when it's delivered in this virtual environment? So like typically like face-to-face keynotes tend to be around the 45-minute, an hour, particularly if they're just presentations, so they're not interactive workshops or, like your business quiz that you were talking about, something that's largely interactive. Do you think that that's something is that why you were talking about the half an hour delivery? So instead of that longer delivery, it's got to be shorter?
That's correct. Yeah. So we're absolutely distracted in the virtual world. We've got our work right in front of where we're seeing the actual event. We have our coffee next to, because we're at home a lot these days. There's just so many distractions. There's the email pop-ups that come up when you're doing that. So the key is to keep things short, sharp, and sweet. And then think about, how do I keep all the audience just on that screen? And that's one of the biggest challenges. So that's why you need to keep things shorter and to the point. Great content, super important.
And almost like, I guess, really asking for some level of interaction, because I'm just putting myself in my non-marketer, my consumer shoes. And when I sit here and attend events, and I have attended more online events in the last 6 months than I think I have in my whole life. But I know myself, like, I'm the ultimate multitasker. I am a self-diagnosed ADHD. I find it very, very hard to concentrate for things that are going on. But I find like I will actually take quite a lot in, even if I am multitasking. So I'll be listening to something and I might be doing something that's fairly low level, that doesn't require thinking. But absolutely, I'm not paying the attention that I would be if I was sitting in the hall or sitting in a, space where someone's delivering I'm never one of those people that would sit there on my phone, in a face-to-face event delivery, but I will sit there and do other things, while someone's speaking. I reckon that's got to be one of the biggest challenges that we'll have to solve.
Absolutely. And on that, one of the things that you mentioned is that on-screen engagement. We're finding ourselves choosing much more engaging MCs, for example, to hold the event throughout. So if it's a 2-day conference, imagine 2-day conference online is quite a tedious process if you you don't have someone that's totally engaging. So one of the things that we definitely decided on is, we have to have a great MC at all these virtual and hybrid events. We have to have breaks, a lot more frequent breaks in between. We have to have shorter presentations. So the format, you see, completely changes because you're trying to, again, engage people without having them to do. You don't want them to be distracted. So the key is to break it up and make sure that people are enjoying every single content that's online. So you really are competing with a lot of factors. You really are competing with a lot of factors.
100%. And you're right. And particularly too, while people are at home, as you said, it's not like you're in the office here either. Like, you've got all the home distractions as well as the office distractions.
That's right.
as well going on there. So what about when the world, gosh, let's hope this is soon, but when the world has recovered from COVID and the social distance requirements allow us all to kind of go back to normal, and there's nothing stopping us from kind of turning up as we used to in these in-person events. Do you think that the virtual space will have evolved so much that we'll actually prefer to stick with the virtual style of event? Or do you think, humans innately crave that human to human kind of face to face connection and will kind of flock back to that traditional delivery?
Yeah, I mean, we really are living in a new world now, I think. So it's not even, everyone keeps talking about the normal, going back to normal.
Yeah.
COVID really has changed things dramatically. I mean, you look at the convenience that you've had when you get to attend events virtually. The time that you have with your kids.
Yes.
At the moment, I mean, it's incredible. No parent will look at that and say to themselves, I'm not going to this event next time around, I can attend it virtually. Companies are going to look at this and say, well, we're not going to spend that much money to get our staff from a different city to join us live. We're going to get them to the ones that are interstate, they're going to watch things virtually, but everyone that's in the host state will be able to attend the event, and then we'll run a hybrid event. So we have really, so this has really shown a couple of things. One, the bottom line for companies, they are seriously going to reconsider traveling costs, hotel costs, and anything to do with managing events, live events. Yeah. So that's one. And then the second part is the convenience of getting online and attending an event that everyone else, all your members or all your industry constituents will be able to, why not attend? Why not attend online rather than a face-to-face? There is nothing like a face-to-face event. Let's be honest. There's nothing like a face-to-face event. Everybody loves face-to-face. The whole reason why you attend an event is that face-to-face factor, because you want to feel, touch, look. There's the food, the drinks. There's so many great factors that play to a great live event. So the experience of that will never change, but there will be some strong considerations moving forward, and people won't change overnight again. They'll be comfortable with their position of having their events online. I know a lot of business coaches. The business coach industry now has been quite affected by this, but the business coaches are loving it because they get to give all their consultations online. And they're saving so much time and charging the same amount of money. So it's like, well, which one do I choose? So our world has changed a lot. Has changed pretty much for good, especially for events, I would say.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point that you brought up around the cost. And now that organisations know that you can effectively get the same kind of output from an event, like in terms of content, as long as the event, I guess, gives that opportunity for you to, because a lot of the time when people go to industry conferences or events, it is about the content, but it's also about the networking that you can, and the people that you meet. So as long as the virtual event kind of it manages to tick that box as well. Like for me, again, if I talk about the social media marketing world, I traveled from Port Macquarie to San Diego for that. Wow. So by the time you've got now, look, I love to travel and any excuse, and I threw on 3 days in San Francisco as well. So for me, that was brilliant. But again, if you look at the cost of that, like the conference itself was probably, oh gosh, I can't even remember, but let's call it about $1,200 for the 3 days. But the flights to the US and the accommodation on top of that, and then all of the other expenses that you lump in as well, like, I think that the cost of the event was probably, I don't know, a fifth or a sixth of the total cost of a trip like that. So
Yeah,
whilst I love an excuse to have to go somewhere,
exactly.
I just don't think I could ever justify that again, knowing, do you know what I mean? Like
And
another 6 or 7 grand to
yep.
get the same output just doesn't make sense.
And that's what COVID has done. It literally has brought that to the forefront for us. I mean, again, the events industry definitely had the virtual and hybrid events platforms ready to actually transition to that, especially the hybrid event model, because it made so much sense. Having the host city have all the attendees to come to a live event, and then have all the rest of the state or worldwide to attend virtually. So it makes COVID has just brought fastened things up, and now has shown all the companies and businesses how things are going to be moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, regardless of whether events are delivered virtually or face to face, like pre-COVID and even in COVID, events have always been a really key part in a lot of the marketing strategies and the marketing ecosystems that we've put together for our clients in various forms, in many different forms. And depending on what the business is, will depend on the type of events, but they've always been something that we've prioritized.
Excellent.
They're so powerful, particularly when it comes to getting people to really engage with you, because as we spoke about, that kind of person-to-person, the energy that goes with that person-to-person interaction is really strong. And even if that is online, just actually being able to talk to a person and get to know a person that sits behind a brand or a business is really powerful, and events do that.
Yeah, they do.
When it comes to, so what benefits do you think events bring to small business? So we've talked about the human to human energy. What else do events, regardless how they've delivered, bring to a business?
So events, there's so many benefits that events bring to small business. Especially, are we talking to a small business in particular? Yes. Okay. Excellent. So I mean, if I have a couple of small business clients now, usually corporate event management companies. We usually deal a lot more with the medium to large size companies, because it comes with a marketing budget, and that marketing budget comes with an event budget, as you could appreciate. However, the small businesses that I work with understand that the investment is long term rather than short term. So that's the first thing that small businesses need to recognize, is that events are actually not a short-term sort of, so it's not like social media. You can't go out there, advertise it, and you're going to get your return straight away. This is about building your own community. This is about building your own followers. This is about building a pipeline that will last you a very long time, rather than a short-term goal. So, fix. So the one thing that I encourage small businesses to do is, one, think long-term. Understand the purpose of the event. What are you really trying to achieve? Is this a branding exercise? Is it a sales exercise? It could be any of those things, but brand and understand the purpose of what you're trying to achieve, and then the benefit is from trying to connect with people. One, by targeting the right target market to have on board. That's one, and then two, it's it is about converting as well at a higher rate rather than a lower rate as well.
Right. So so you can use events to get people into your marketing funnel, so to make people aware of you and what you do. And I guess the way that we probably use events the most with our business, with the businesses that we work with, are to actually deepen the relationship. So particularly with professional services, and that might look like, a lot of the time it's for existing clients, or it's for, previous clients and existing clients. And there might be some, kind of warm prospects in there as well. And it might be an education event where we're actually running a seminar to actually let them know about a particular process that we use, or an update in the market. If they're accountants or financial planners, there might be some newly released legislation, with COVID, with all the JobKeeper stuff. There was a lot of accountants running JobKeeper, webinars and seminars and those sorts of things to help educate people. But there's also a lot of social events that we run. Again, it's that client recognition. It's that thank you. It's that, you've been a client and you've supported us, and, we love the relationship and value the relationship that we have with you. So we're throwing this event to actually express our appreciation. And you might have only dealt with that client in a transactional sense in the last 12 months. Here's your service delivery, whatever it may be, your annual review, your quarterly BAS, or your, the legal services that we've just provided, and that's a transaction. But then to actually get people into that social space and that social environment where you can actually build that personal relationship, that's what reinvigorates that personal connection, and that's what strengthens their loyalty to your brand.
That's right.
Is taking it away from the transaction and actually, making it more about the relationships with everybody within the business.
Yeah, and building relationships is definitely the key there for events, and especially small businesses. I mean, most of service-based small businesses use networking platform or a networking event to create their connections and build those relationships and find their clients. So totally agree with what you just said. It's super important. It's so important for small businesses to go out there, network and attend all these events, to maybe even sponsor and be a part of an event, and so that you can build a particular relationship with an industry that you're targeting. So that's a great way to be a part of it, and also offering your services as a way of connecting to a particular event. So there's a lot of partnership opportunities that way that you can delve in with other associations, for example, to get a better understanding on how to connect with their industry, or the particular or the industry, or the people that you're trying to target as a whole. So which is great.
No, that's awesome. And what do you think the essential ingredients of running a successful event are? What do you think people really need to get right with an event?
So I think I said it earlier in regards to events. The first place that you want to start is the ultimate why. Why are you hosting this event? What are you trying to achieve? So that's definitely one of the things that especially small businesses really want to get a better understanding of that part, so that they have a clear direction on how to host the event, and then more importantly, clear direction on what they want to achieve with the event. So that's one. Two, it's that old age plan. There's nothing like we're event managers because we know how to plan, and we plan for the worst, we plan for the best. So the key is to ensure that you put the hours in to plan your event really, really well. 60% of the reason why attendees attend your event is because of the content. So your content needs to be strong. So the speaker or your presentation has to be very strong and specific. So if you have that well planned and well executed, that's when that word of mouth spread
Yeah.
plays into events. That one of the most powerful tools within the event, uh, one of the most powerful outcomes for events, getting that word of mouth out there, and then utilizing that to spread through your networks. And the last but not least is really around targeting, getting the people in. So making sure that you have bums on seats so that so that you can have a successful event around it. And if your campaign, so from start to finish, so that's from when you start registering all the way till they leave, is well planned and targeted, the results will be there.
Yeah. And what about, like, in terms of the execution of the event? So say someone's, planned it, they've targeted it to the right market. What about creating that vibrance and an inspiring energy? So you've mentioned that content's really important, and obviously your speaker lineup, and you can tell just by the events that we're sent, the marketing material, they tend to headline with the speakers and the content. So obviously that's why people are going to pay to go. Correct. But how do you take it next level? Like, how do you actually get that vibrance and inspiring energy, particularly virtually, where you can't feel the energy in the room? Like, I've been to events where they've had an awesome DJ and they're pumping the music and getting people inspired, and they get people up to dance, and the energy is palpable. Yes. How do you create that with an event?
So again, it does come down to the why factor. And the reason why I say that is because it has to be unique to you. So, you can always hire the DJ. You can always hire all the different activities that make up an event. However, does it really carry your message? One. Yes. And then two, is it really you? Is it really your company values? Is it really your company? So find something that actually talks about you as a company and you as a person, because at the end of the day, a lot of people, a lot of actually businesses don't realize that. They forget that when people attend events, they come for the person, not the business itself.
Not the bells and whistles.
Not the bells and whistles. Yes, sometimes it is for the bells and whistles, but that's really later down the journey when you are established. But what you want to do is you definitely want to create, you want to think about that event journey from start to finish. So when my attendees come to the door, what am I going to give them? When they're inside the room, how do I want it to look and feel? Do you know what I mean? Do I want flowers? Do I want music when they're coming? So all those things are actually unique, and you need to come up with your own unique way of putting a stamp on all those elements. So that would be definitely my biggest advice is think about what you're trying to achieve, why you're trying to achieve it, then ask yourselves, okay, how can I achieve this by making this engaging? How can I achieve this by having the right food, the right care, the right food, the right entertainment, the right speakers, and that's really where the key is.
Yeah. And so what about online, like in this last 6 months, and maybe companies haven't really got there yet, but have you seen any online events that have, because it's bloody hard, because people aren't there. So you can't, you could probably have music playing, but it's not like you can have that music pumping. You can't serve the champagne. You can't serve the fancy canapes. You can't give them the goodie bag. You can't direct them to the exhibition stands, which are all vibrant and looking. So is there anything that you've seen that someone's delivered in an online delivery that kind of was really a bit different and would inspire someone to go, oh, well, this is awesome. That's surprised and delighted me.
Yeah. So I attended a business coach event. I mean, and he was the host of the event. So as a host, he was very engaging. So he kept he had little activities in between. That made people take out their pen and paper,
Yes.
and do things, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that part of it is definitely going to be very important moving forward. The second part is there was a pack that you can actually send to people's homes. So you would integrate a snack, you would integrate some worksheets, you would integrate different things, small things that enable you to become more engaging, and you'd open up that pack only when the event, only when that virtual event is running. So
Yes.
again, that's another way of connecting people. Making it more engaging. We have actually a virtual summits coming soon. I think I told you a little bit about it, and what we're trying to do there is we're really trying to showcase how engaging virtual events can be, and it really comes down to the host and the speakers at the moment with virtual events. And the tools and the engaging tools. So
I love the idea. And I love the idea that you spoke about in terms of providing people with like a pre-event goodie bag that then you prescribe them to at 10 o'clock at this session you need to open this pack, and here's your workbook and your fancy pen and a bag of snacks, and that's something that I think because it's that tangible aspect. It's that, and look, everyone loves free stuff, as long as it's valuable and not crappy and you have to put it straight in the recycling bin or in the bin. Everyone loves getting, and particularly to get something in the mail, that doesn't happen really either anymore. So I think that's a really terrific idea as to how to kind of add that little bit more energy to the event. That's awesome. So what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that the tangible is the one that's missing at the moment with the virtual events. So the more tangible things that you can incorporate to it, the better it is. The more things that activities that you can run through these virtual events, the better the engagement level is. Yes, we still won't reach that level of that live events because, like you said, that emotional connection is not there. But the key is to change up the activities as frequent as possible. Have those breaks, and then that will make it more engaging straight away.
Awesome. And what about when it comes to measurement? So obviously we can measure how many people turn up to the event, and you mentioned before about how you can kind of use events, if you're not using them as a relationship building tool with existing clients, you can also use events to actually acquire new clients. So you can kind of use it at the top of kind of top middle of the funnel to actually get people into your ecosystem, but show them a little bit more about what you're about. So you can look at the acquisition, how many new clients are coming in. But you can also look at how many people are coming to the event, and then how many people are you converting to then doing business with you.
Correct.
Are they the metrics that you tend to focus on, or are there other, yes, how many people turned up, but are there other metrics that you look at in terms of measuring the overarching success of an event?
Yeah, I mean, trade shows and exhibitions are classic for sales. A lot of companies attend trade shows and exhibitions for that reason, because the crowd comes in. So like you said, number of attendance is super important when you're measuring things, but the level of engagement as well. So trade shows these days have amazing technology that enables, connects with the attendees as soon as they come in. Even in a particular booth, you get text messages while you're in that booth to encourage you to purchase things, and that is, that's scary, but it's so good for anyone that's a part of that trade show, because they get to leave with some either clients and hopefully some relationships as well. But there are so many different things. So anything from check-ins, for when people come to attend to events and they're checking in, the app downloads. So event apps, you measure those, because the more people that download that event and utilize that event, use that event app, that event app basically has a lot of measuring tools in there.
Yes.
Anything from a game that's being played, so it's called gamification in the events industry. So
Yeah.
you pretty much you're creating an event journey through a game, so that either it could be it could be a reward point system where they get to go from one exhibition booth to the other, and you reward them through that system, and then that again becomes a measuring tool for yourself when you go back and say, this particular booth had more people attend than this one, and what's the reason for it? So you can measure that. And for small businesses, really, it's about hashtags as well.
Yes.
One of the easiest ways to measure. So your social media, you're always sharing that hashtag. You want to get them to share the hashtag, because that will give you a really good understanding of the level of engagement. People will say, on Twitter, it's like, I saw an amazing speaker, hashtag this.
Yeah.
So as simple as that. So all these things are measuring tools, and we actually put them all in a report for our clients, and we provide that to them as feedback. But they get a whole spectrum of things that have been measured for them at the events. And then last but not least, as you could, surveys are huge for events. So you have to have a survey. You have to understand what you've done well at that first event to the last event. And the reason for that is events improve within time, and this is the part of that long-term strategy that I was talking about earlier.
100%.
Is surveys as well. So
Look, and I would agree with that. I worked on a local event in Port Macquarie. It was a massive food and wine festival called Tastings on Hastings, and we just did a really short survey that we actually circulated throughout the event. So we actually had volunteers who were just going around and getting people to fill in, 5 questions, whatever it was. And then we actually sent that out online to our database of people, most of whom would have attended the event, and got that feedback that way. And you certainly did see a big shift that we saw was how people heard about it. So the event had been running for 17 years or whatever it was, 15 years maybe. And you could see the transition from year to year. Most people found, I think when I first started, most people were finding out about the event, on radio or from radio or TV. By the last year that I worked on that event, it was all social. Everyone was finding out about that event via social. So it was a really, really good understanding as to where to place our marketing budget. As we saw more and more people talk about social, we were able to invest in that channel, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. The more you invest in that channel, the more people are going to report that that's the channel that they've got there. But as we all know, social media is so much more affordable and sustainable in terms of how much content you can get out there than some of the more expensive kind of TV or radio advertising options. So, but that we were able to make good and informed decisions around that because we sent that survey. But we also measured, how people kind of found the event and whether they were satisfied, and if they had any feedback, if they had any suggestions. And of course, we would always incorporate that into our event planning for the next year. So I agree, they're an absolute must. And look, I'd forgotten, I had forgotten about the use of hashtags and event apps, because in the events that I have been to online, there has been zero encouragement of hashtags. Like zero. And I just thought, that's right. Yeah. When you used to go to an event, there was always the event hashtag that was up on the screen throughout the event. The MC would mention the hashtag, make sure you hashtag. And I must say, like a lot of the events that I'm attending at the moment, I will, grab a shot and put it on my Instagram story, or I'll write a story about, put a post up on LinkedIn. And there, imagine if there was an event hashtag that went with that. There could be an online conversation that's then continued, and that's the whole point of hashtags, is being able to take that conversation outside of the event.
That's right. That's the whole point of the level of engagement, the way you understand if people are engaging with your content is by having this hashtag and getting to see the level of excitement that they have for the event, and and that's what the hashtag is used for. So it's fantastic to have that as a part of your event. I think it's still relevant in the virtual event. Like you said, not a lot of people are advertising it. Not a lot of businesses are using it. But again, we're utilizing it. I'm still using it for some of my clients, and I'm making sure that they have that on their run sheet, and the MCs are reading out their hashtags. And even if it's a virtual event, people are taking selfies of their computer and themselves and saying, "Oh, I attended this amazing virtual event," and it's still working. So they're very important. But social media, like you said as well, has played a huge part in the measurement. For events. Social media impressions. You've got media placements that you can measure. Website visits. Doing that funnel. Detail is all a part of events as well, because you can have it targeted to a particular event, and you would want to measure all those things for your reporting at the end of the year.
So that's like the kind of measurements as to in the lead up to that pre-event, how many people are actually seeing it, how many people do we actually get there and convert. And then the post-event in terms of measuring the conversations and the word of mouth and that sort of stuff. And one of the biggest things that used to happen at a lot of the events too with that hashtag is that when people quoted something, or when people spoke about a particular, like when one of the keynotes spoke about a particular topic, or came out with an awesome stat, so many people would actually tweet that, or use that comment to actually talk about. So those hashtags, like if people, if you want people to be able to do that, having that hashtag is integral. So with the apps, do the apps still have the same application online as they do offline, or is the very fact that you're kind of there online anyway? Because I know the apps were kind of an extension to the offline experience a lot of the times, or the ones that I had exposure to. They kind of, you downloaded the app and it would tell you where to park, and it would tell you what's happening, and you'd send notifications, and there might be a bit of gamification on there, but it was largely an extension of the offline. So is that how they're still using apps are they still using apps with the online delivery?
Yeah, they are still using apps. They are still using apps. It is still offline, because having that separately gives you a separate medium for that event to measure. So the interaction within that app. So it has clear measuring tools in there that enables you to come up with some clear reporting as well. So it's they are using it a lot in that factor. Hybrid events, I think it's going to be even more relevant when you see a lot more hybrid events coming out now, because the apps will definitely be back. There are some companies that are using only that to measure things as well. For the engagement tools, like the Q&As and the polling questions, all done through the apps. Exactly, rather than Zoom or any other platform. So which is great.
That makes sense. Okay, gosh, so much to think about. What about the future? Is it too early to predict what the future of events is going to look at, or in the industry, are you kind of seeing predictions around how this event space is going to evolve? Because I would imagine that it's going to evolve a lot more rapidly than it was probably planned 6 or 12 months ago. Are there any kind of developments of note for small businesses to think about?
At the moment, the talk is really around hybrid events.
And when you say hybrid, do you mean like a mixture of offline and online?
That's right. Right. So live events are at the host city, with all the social distancing, obviously, and the safety rules around it in place in venues. So that's one. And then there's the virtual element to it. So you're pretty much recording a live event to an audience online, and then you have an audience in that same. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
But so that's really the future that events are seeing, and that's the same. That hybrid model is the same thing that is what companies are going to be looking at moving forward. They won't be hosting full live events moving forward, because the cost, like I said, to hosting a live event and bringing everyone together is definitely going to be well. They'll need to take a long look at it and say to themselves, do I have to? I don't need to host a live event just to satisfy the whole.
And I think it's in terms of an opportunity point of view, like if you've gone from off like a face-to-face event where you can get say 1,000 people there, because people have got to fly in from everywhere, and it's held in a city, but your kind of markets from all over the world or whatever, so you've got a face-to-face event that 1,000 people can come to. Now through COVID, you've evolved that event, so you're like, okay, well we're no longer restricted. 30,000 people can now come to this event. You're not going to go, oh, let's go back to the face-to-face delivery of this and take it back to 1,000 people, are you? You're not going to knock that opportunity out.
And that's such a great point. Some of the stronger organizations, Jane, in the US and even here, their numbers, have increased significantly, up to 700, 800%. So they're not going to look at that, and they're not going to go back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So they've already seen those results. So they've seen the numbers that they're attracting, and they're not going to. They would have to think twice. They really would have to think twice about hosting a live event. So for us, we're at the moment, as a company, we're concentrating on the virtual and hybrid events, and moving forward, we'll be focusing more on hybrid events. As a whole. But the best part is you get to be a part of both worlds. You get to be part of the online and live world. So you really are in full. You can take advantage of that in its full extent. So, which is great.
That's absolutely true. And speaking of your business, if our listeners do want to get in touch with you or connect with you or find out more about what you do, where can they reach out to you?
Yes, so they can contact me directly on LinkedIn, and that's Eyob Jesus, EYOB. YESUS, so / LinkedIn, LinkedIn / Eyob Jesus, and then Icon Corporate Events. So it's Icon Corp, CORP events.com. So if you'd like to jump on there, send me an email. Please don't. We'd love to talk to you anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been such a great chat. I know I'm really looking forward to seeing what evolves in this space. Like already, as I said, for a girl sitting in Port Macquarie running a business, not only have I been able to attend so many more events, like ridiculous, like 800 times more events than I was before COVID. But I'm also able to think about what events that I can run or what events my clients can run.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden it's opened up so much opportunity. So it's been great to kind of really understand, how to really transition from running those face-to-face events to the virtual space. And I'm sure like in 6 months' time that the space will be kind of different again. And look, who knows how long this COVID thing's going to last for. But as you said, it sounds like people are kind of setting it up so that it will be, regardless of what happens, world pandemic or not, that hybrid events format is going to be something that's making sense in whatever world that we're living in.
Absolutely. And, to that, now is the best time to build your community, through that virtual platform, while everything is nice and affordable, more importantly, and fixable for your business. So do it now as a small business, now is the best time to do that. So build your community, and then by the time the hybrid events are in full swing, you'll be able to have a great base to work with. So that's the best part.
100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Eyob. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Jane.
it. It's been great to chat.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, if you are really enjoying these episodes and feel like they are helping you become a better marketer, head into your podcast app and hit subscribe. That way you will not miss an episode and the marketing goodness will just keep flowing in. While you were there, it would be so awesome if you could leave a rating and review. And you can also subscribe to receive our weekly small business marketing tips at dragonflymarketing.com.au. Until next time, happy marketing.
You've been listening to another Morgan Media production.